Now, I'm going to attempt to follow up my co host's awesome video with a video of my own. I'm going to name a few topics that I was looking at within the last 24 hours that just I wanted to touch on a little bit and still do my part in giving you all more content in the world of sports. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to talk about is Julio Jones going to the Buccaneers and tell you why it is not the move that you all seem to think it is. Look, I get it. Julio Jones is a big name, and this would have been a great move about 5 years ago. He's not that guy anymore. Cut it out. Last season with the Titans, he had 31 catches and 1 touchdown. He's almost washed up. I don't ever want to say that about Julio Jones because he's a great talent and he was one of my favorite receivers back in his prime. But he's not that dominant 2017 Falcons receiver that was dominating the postseason and almost was carrying that Falcons offense and helping Matt Ryan win MVP. He's not him anymore. And I get it. Not to mention, he was going to have more targets in Tennessee playing next to A.J. Brown. Now he's going to be playing next to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who have been not only been with the team a couple years, are in more of the prime of their career than Julio Jones is. And not to mention, all that being said, so point being, Julio's not that guy anymore. Here's the one that gets the most attention. When are we going to acknowledge that as great as Tom Brady is, he does not make his receivers better? He gets the most out of his team. He wins games. But as far as elevating his receivers, show me historically where he's done it. I can give you two. Wes Welker and Deion Branch. And Deion Branch is a maybe. But every other receiver or tight end during his tenure either plays the exact same, if not better, away from Tom Brady. To me, that's not elevating them. The numbers, and if you don't believe me, look at the numbers. Look at the guys like Randy Moss. Look at the guys like Josh Gordon. Look at all the others. And I know what some of you all are going to say, and this one was already very popular on the social media page. Julian Edelman was a very popular pick, but we never saw Julian Edelman without Tom Brady, so we don't know. I mean, if you want to say otherwise, please pull up the numbers of Julian Edelman playing without Tom Brady. Let me know when you find those. You won't. Gronkowski, the same thing. So please, stop acting like, as great as Tom Brady is, that he just has this tendency to make the receivers around him better. Julio was a great receiver, but Tom's not going to take him to the next level at this point in his career. The next topic I want to talk about was an AAU game that was televised on ESPN last night. And if it's a high school AAU game being televised on the #1 sports network in the world, that there's got to be some kind of star power involved. And let me tell you, there was. You have Team Strive for Greatness. That was that team assembled by Bronny James. And cue all the like father, like son, super team joining jokes that you can have about Bronny James. But he teams up with Rob Dillingham, Mackenzie Mbako, Jazir Jackson, and many others to play for the Strive for Greatness AAU team. And they matched up with a team that had played together for years in Midwest. And I learned about 3 things, or not really learned. I just have 3 major takeaways from that game that I want to share. My number 1, teamwork beats talent 9 out of 10 times. Sometimes, yes, a team is just that much more talented and they're going to win off that. But when you have a team that can match teamwork with that talent, and don't get me wrong, Midwest has talent. They have 5-star Reed Shepard, 5-star Gabe Cupps, and 4-star Rayvon Griffith, going to Kentucky, Indiana, and Cincinnati respectively. They're no slouches in talent, but they don't have that kind of firepower. But they've been playing together for years, and it shows. And this was the last game they were ever going to play together. And you know that they were not going to go out with a loss. The number 2 thing I took away from this game, and this is the former Sentinel News sports writer in me talking. Look, KHSAA basketball has some great basketball, but it doesn't quite get the attention nationally that it deserves. When you think of some of the best high school basketball across the country, the state of Kentucky is not often mentioned. But what I would argue is that it's one of the more underrated basketball spots in the country. And you have a recruit like Reed Shepherd getting national exposure like this, one that is still playing his high school basketball in the KHSAA for Laurel County, for North Laurel, sorry. That's got to mean something, right? That's maybe, I'm not going to say it will, but could that potentially mean that more prospects in the state of Kentucky are going to stick around? And that's no disrespect to Caleb Glenn or George Washington. They've moved on, and I wish them the best of luck. They're doing what's best for them, and I support them. But just as a selfish high school basketball fan, I would like to see more recruits stay in state and enjoy some more marquee matchups within the state. So, hopefully, that's the KHSAA has to love the exposure that Reed Shepherd was getting them last night. And my number 3, and really the biggest thing that I could take away from this game, and I tweeted this, and it's gotten a lot of love, but Brooke Kupps and Jeff Shepherd look like some legitimate college coaching candidates. I mean, I look at the plays that Midwest is running, and it legitimately looked like you were watching the Warriors play against a park team, because the different plays and sets that Midwest was running, as talented as the Strive for Greatness team is, they had no answer for it. They were running around on defense with chickens like with their heads cut off. They had no answer for it. And that's the thing. When you have plays drawn up like that, at that point, talent's not that important. I'm sorry, it's just not. And it was an impressive showing. And you know what? If I'm a mid-major D1 coach, college basketball program, I'm looking for some coaches. Brooke Kupps and Jeff Shepherd just grabbed my attention after that performance. The number 3 thing I want to talk about is, I was just watching First Take, and it made me think of this. The question that they asked was, can Aaron Rodgers win an MVP without Davante Adams? Duh. I mean, look, I know you all know how I feel about receivers. They're talented, they're exciting, but they're the most overrated position in football. You don't need stud receivers to win games. I'm sorry, you just don't. Aaron Rodgers has been asking for more receivers the last several years. His receiving cores have arguably gotten worse, but yet he continues to win MVPs and put up mind-boggling numbers in the regular season. So clearly, losing Davante Adams, as great of a receiver as Davante Adams is, I have no reason to suspect that Aaron Rodgers would not play at an MVP level without him. Will he? No. But that prediction is coming later when me and Matt do our NFL preview. And my last take, I want to talk about an anonymous defensive coordinator that made a statement about Lamar Jackson. And I know what you all are thinking. I'm back on my Lamar Jackson hating train. Kind of, but not really. And if you haven't seen it, this anonymous defensive coordinator said that he doesn't care if Lamar Jackson wins the MVP 12 times. He'll never view him as a QB1. I don't know if I'd go that far. I definitely think he's a QB1. But let's not act like he's not right. And think about it. You all follow my social media pages. You all follow the podcast. What are my main criticisms of Lamar's game? He can't throw to certain areas of the field, and he doesn't show up in playoff games. Those two things go hand in hand, and they are correct. If you're going to be an elite quarterback in this league, there cannot be half of the field you cannot throw to. That's just not how it works. Your legs will not be able to rely on forever. Eventually, you're going to expose yourself, get a big hit, and you're not going to want to use them. You got to be able to pass from the pocket at some point, and he's just not good at that. Teams have adjusted to that. They've kept him in the pocket and forced him to throw to the outside. And that's why he probably can't win playoff games. So until he learns to do that, no, he's not that guy. So stop acting like this defensive coordinator was being disrespectful when he was really just being factual. I'm sorry that you all treat Lamar Jackson like he's your child, but cut it out. Just because you don't think he's your Lord and Savior in football doesn't mean that we're absolute haters either. But without further ado, that's all the time I have for today. Be sure to like and subscribe to both the Less is More Sports YouTube and Spotify channel. Like Less is More Sports on Facebook and Twitter. And thank you all for having me, but I'm out.